Welcome back to Not One for Neutrals, and this week is all about Sheffield Wednesday. Now, as a Sheffield United fan, as you know, it's hard and it pains me to talk about the opposite side of the city, but I'm a professional, and also Wednesday aren't doing too good either. So today I'm joined by creator and host of the Wednesday Till I Die podcast, James, who's going to enlighten us on all things Owls. Oh. How's it going, James?
Cheers, Nick. Thanks for having me on, pal. I'm absolutely fine. As we'll probably come on to in terms of the football club, probably a little bit of a different story, but yeah, I'm all good, pal.
Good stuff. Also, I just wanted to give you this opportunity to just talk about Milan Mandarić for a second because we know that he passed away recently. I know you've done a video on him, and I just wanted to give you the floor just to talk about him for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it feels such a long time ago now, since the CHANSIRI has been with us for over 10 years. But he was there when we needed him the most. You know, we needed someone to come in and take over the football club. But we were in dire straits. You know, it's bad now. It was bad back then as well. He came in when seemingly nobody else would, and he bought the club for £1. And I think I'm not going to come on here and say that he was the best chairman that we ever had. However, what he was honest, and he didn't kind of pretend that we were something that we weren't. He didn't have a great deal of money, but he told us that. We knew that we were going to be signing players for £250,000, and that was the market that we were in, and he were going to try to get us do the best job that he possibly could, and I feel like he did that. And he never said that he was going to take us to the promised land. He steadied the ship, probably made a few quid on us as well, and moved us on to someone else. And I think that is I think honesty is something that you don't get a lot in football, but he certainly had that. And obviously it was only a couple of months ago where he was seemingly interested in helping us out again. And just really sad news, came totally out of the blue. When you read it, and obviously he'll be sorely missed, and he'll be forever remembered by every Sheffield Wednesday fan that was around at the time when Milan Mandarić was there.
Yeah, and obviously he was in charge of Portsmouth at the time, and Leicester City as well. So I'm guessing a lot of football fans are heartbroken by the loss of Milan Mandarić. So I just wanted to bring that up and obviously pay homage to the man himself. So let's get into talking about Sheffield Wednesday, and I want you to talk to those people that have been living under a rock and just explain what is going on and off the pitch, I suppose, at Sheffield Wednesday.
Nick, how long have we got, mate? Because I could be here for absolutely hours talking about absolutely everything that's happened. So I'll try and do a bit of
let's keep it brief. Then let's keep it brief, mate.
Yeah, I'll do a whistle-stop tour of kind of what's been happening. Yeah. I think Dave CHANSIRI has been here for 10 years now. We all know that we nearly got to the Premier League. He was spending the money, quite freely at that point. And as Wednesday fans, and like any other football fan, we were enjoying it at that point. You fast forward to now when we've been down into League One. We got out of there. We had the miracle of Hillsborough and everything, but we've had multiple kind of there's been so many shortcomings really with the chairman, so many mistakes that he's made, both kind of on the pitch and certainly off the pitch as well. And the club's just been in a bit of a decline. We've had kind of fleeting moments of relative success, I feel, which has kind of prolonged his stay somewhat. And I think the first two seasons that he had, where we got to the to the playoff final and then the playoffs the season after, it has given him a lot of credit in the bank with a certain section of the fan base, which has kind of allowed him to perhaps be here for as long as what he has. Fast forward to now, and I think that it's just really accelerated in terms of the fact that we realise that he hasn't got any money. We haven't paid the players on time for 5 of the last 7 months, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Not only the players, but also the staff as well. So we're talking about the non-playing staff here. So the people that work at the stadium, the people that work at the training ground, in the club shop, those people aren't being paid on time either, which I think is, again, it's bad enough not paying the players, but not paying the staff that are the heartbeat of the football club. They're the ones that keep the club ticking. And, again, it's bad not paying players. You'd like to think that they might be able to, to make do for, a couple of extra weeks, but there's reports that some of the staff are having to take out loans. So we've got the supporters trust that have got money to one side to help these people as well, and that should never ever happen at a football club where people are paying good money to go and watch the team. £600-700 for a season ticket when you're paying X amount of thousands of pounds per week for the players. We shouldn't really be in this situation, but it's just so many, like I said, so many shortcomings of the chairman, so many mistakes he's been making. I talked about honesty from Milan Mandarić. I don't think CHANSIRI is honest at all. The players have openly come out and said that they don't even get told when they're not going to be paid. I mean, that it's just common courtesy just to let people know that this is what's happening, and you're very sorry. I know that sorry, sometimes it can not mean a lot at all if you keep saying it, but like I said, it's just that common courtesy really. And fans have had enough. Protests. There were fans on the pitch only at the weekend just gone, which just shows. I mean, we'll probably come on to it, I'm sure, but it just shows how there's such a sorry state that we're in, that people actually felt that was the only necessary action in order to force a change, was to actually go on the pitch and potentially risk not being able to watch Sheffield Wednesday ever again. And they felt that was what's necessary. But it's a number of things. It's not paying the players. It's not investing in the squad. It's also selling players off for cheap and not actually getting the actual market value for the players because he's so desperate for the money. Expensive season tickets, expensive shirts, selling season tickets around Christmas time, 6-7 months before the season actually begins. I can go on and on and on, calling his customers. There's so many things that he's done wrong and rubbed us up the wrong way, and we've put up for it for far too long, way too long, I feel. And now the ship's sailed massively, and it just needs to go.
Yeah, completely understand that. We'll get onto that a bit later. I just want to give you an opportunity just to talk a little bit more about the protests. And I know that you've been helping out with the scarves and things like that. So the first question off camera that I asked you is what's the gold and black, or the black and gold about? So do you want to just explain that for neutral fans that don't know why Wednesday fans are holding up these scarves?
Yeah, they're not from Hull City. We didn't borrow them from them, I promise. But no, the Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust have been excellent in all this. There was the 1867 group, which was kind of formed. That was, I think, going back like 18 months now, which wasn't too successful. But I think when you look back, they kind of paved the way for what's happened now. The Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust have been there before this, but they've almost kind of taken up the mantle of organising these protests. So there's been a multitude of different things. There was turning your back on 10 minutes, which on the face of it sounds pretty not really effective, but I think that was more to kind of gauge what the appetite was for protesting. We've had banners that we've been holding up, flyers as well. And then, moving into now where we've had scarves, we've had marches through the park. We had a march that started in Sheffield City Centre and walked all the way through to the ground. We've had a coffin that's been carried as well, and all of this is just to highlight to the national media as to what the our plight really, and get eyes on and get people talking about it. Just with the independent regulator just around the corner, I know there's been more advancements on that in recent days. I think it's just all been about just trying to get the attention on Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, when we talk about the black and gold as well, so there's been a boycott on merchandise sales and ticket sales as well. So a large percentage have already got season tickets, but we've had 3 cup games already now in the Carabao Cup. There's hardly anyone there. We played Leeds United. There would have been 20-odd thousand. I think there was 7,000 or 8,000 people there, including the Leeds United fans as well. So there's been all of those. Again, not buying the shirts. I've hardly seen anyone wearing this season's shirt. The blue and white. We've got a lilac/purple away kit. We've got a white kit. That's probably the only one that we have seen, which is the third one, because that was another thing that CHANSIRI did as a cash grab. Put a shirt on sale halfway through last season, the third shirt, and all he said was it's going to be white with blue, and it had the old owl on the owl that you can see on my shirt here. and people bought it because we could become attached to that old 90s owl that people always remember. So that's the only shirt that you see because people bought that before the boycott started. But again, black and gold, the strapline is black and gold until we're sold. We had the 93 away kit that some people might remember, the Sanderson one, very similar to the one that I've got now, but in black with the yellow or gold pinstripes on it. That's kind of been the protest shirt, I think, this season. A lot of people have been wearing that one. So we've had quite a lot of black and yellow kits in the past, certainly away kits that people have been wearing, and not wearing any of these shirts from this season. And the boycotts have been working. There's been talks of not buying anything inside the ground, not a pound in the ground, another kind of strap line that's been going around there. And the kiosks, I sit on the north stand, so for away fans that perhaps been to Hillsborough, that's the stand on the left-hand side if you're looking at the pitch from the away end. I sit on there, and at the weekend there was probably 2 kiosks open for you to buy, food and drink, and normally there are probably, I've not counted them all, there's probably 10 or 12 maybe, going all the way down there. There was only a few that were open. There, the shutters were down and they shut because nobody's buying anything. People are just bringing the fish and chips in, bringing the sandwiches in, and the sandwiches in the flask. It's like a Sunday League game at times, and some of the football perhaps looks a bit like Sunday League as well, to be honest. But no, we're just trying to starve the chairman of the money, which it's a bit of a double-edged sword because I've just already spoken about staff not getting paid. And I think some fans feel slightly responsible for that because if we're not buying tickets, buying shirts and things, that's not going to pay for these people in the shop. But he's not been paying people way before the boycott started. This kind of happened at the back end of last season when people were freely buying food and drink and things like that. So it's not because of us that they're not getting paid. It's down to Mr. CHANSIRI, and what we're trying to do is get it to a point where he can't sustain it anymore. He can't run the football club, and he hopefully sells it to someone else that can.
Do you know what? I'm going to jump right forward because you've just touched on something that I just wanted to bring up. So, why do you think he refuses to sell the club despite the unrest of the fans?
That's the $1 million question, Nick, and I think that's a question that we've been asking ourselves. We can't ask him because we don't know where he is. He's, I presume, 7,000 miles away in Thailand with his head in the sand at this current time. But, we ask ourselves, on the podcast and amongst Sheffield Wednesday fans, that why? Why is he still here? And honestly, Nick, nobody can answer that question because nobody likes him. He's losing. He tells us that he was losing or spending £2 million a month on running the football club at a championship football club as well. Now that figure's going to be a lot less because we've let a lot of players go. The wage bill will be pretty much halved. There's not much money going out. We didn't buy anyone. We didn't sign anyone either. So that's obviously going to be a huge saving that he's been making. But at the time, he was telling us that he was actually spending £24 million a year. Now, if it's not working and nobody likes you and people want you to go, it can't be fun. It can't be exciting. I don't really know what his end game is. You could be £24 million better off just by giving the football club away and waiting a year. That's simple maths. I just don't know what he's trying to achieve. He said that he wasn't going to put any more money in. That looks like he's, at least, I said that he's not a truthful person. That's something that he has kind of stuck to his word on because it looks like at this point, the only reason why wages got paid, not last month, the month before on time, was because there was the solidarity payments and the TV money from the EFL and the Premier League. So that didn't come. No, there was nothing like that this month. And lo and behold, the wages didn't get paid on time. So, yeah, I don't know what his end game is. I would love to sit down and talk to him. I would say I had the pleasure. It wasn't really that pleasurable, to be fair. But I have actually sat down and spoke to him back when Darren Moore was sacked, released, whatever you want to say at that point in time. And he's a very difficult man to speak to. But I would love to speak to him now and just ask him that question, like, why are you still the chairman of the football club? Because he says he wants to do the best for the club. He says he doesn't want to harm the club either. Well, unfortunately, certainly in the last 4 or 5 months, he's done more harm than I think anyone could imagine to this football club, to the point where people don't want to go. I've got a young lad, as you know, Nick. I don't want to take him to Hillsborough. I mean, we're not taking. I'm not buying extra tickets anyway. But even if he was, I wouldn't want to take him in this atmosphere. And he's going to be a Sheffield Wednesday fan growing up, and he's at the age now. He's nearly 5 years old. He plays football as well. Loves football. Always kicking a ball around. And I've not bought him the shirt for this season. I bought him shirts from other clubs around the world instead. And he's not old enough to kind of fully realise yet. But yeah, it's just really sad, Nick. When you take a step back and look at it all.
Do you know what? I've got a little boy as well, as you know, but you run the risk of him, defecting to another club, if you like, because if he's not getting the shirt, like, I'm not saying that his mates at school will be getting the shirt, because I'm assuming everybody's doing the same thing. But if he's not getting the shirt, if he's not going to the matches, then you just don't know, because there's that many people that I know who have said their sons or daughters have supported a Man United because one of their friends supports Man United and things like that. But you don't want to run that risk. But you've got to do what you've got to do. But we'll get on to talking about on the field stuff, because actually that's probably one of the most positive points, I feel anyway, this season. But I just want to touch on, you spoke about the staff and the players not getting paid. What sort of impact has that had kind of on the players, the staff, and the mood around the club?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of infighting, as you can probably imagine, between fans as well, for reasons that I mentioned beforehand. Some people thinking that that's the reason why these aren't getting paid. I think also what you get and what you don't realise is that people are of different levels of fandom when it comes to football. Some, bleed blue and white, and they go home and away, buy every shirt, they go to every game, they have the holidays around the fixtures when they come out and things like that, and that their life revolves around Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. And then you get the other end of the spectrum where it's just it can come and go. They might go to a few games, they might not. They're not really they'll identify as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, but they're not they're not fully invested in it all the time. So I think that's the other problem as well. So some people aren't as perhaps educated as to the whole thing. I mean, I'd like to think it's been going on for that long that they might have a little bit of an understanding and of an idea of what's going on at the moment. But it takes time to kind of get to that point. So, I mean, Barry Bannon's come out in the recent weeks and he's done a lot of media appearances on podcasts and radio shows. Obviously, nothing official. I don't think the club would have agreed to what he's done, but it's Barry Bannon, he can do whatever he wants. As far as I'm concerned, at Sheffield Wednesday, but he's come out and said that it really affects him. That he's going into the training ground, and the guy, the chef that's serving him the food, knowing that he's not got paid. Just like them, they've not got paid either. But they all need the money. But seeing how people are still turning up and doing a job and things, and yeah, it must affect them massively. You see at the weekend with the protest and the pitch invasion and things, and Barry Bannon's reported to have said to one of the pitch guys that went on the pitch, just said, "I just want to play football," to which they replied, "I just want to watch football as well." And it is. When you kind of pair it all back and things, that is what we want to watch football and they want to play it as well, and that is how simple it is. And at the moment, it feels like both things can't really happen at the moment. So it's affecting everyone. It's affecting fans. As I mentioned with my lad, I'm now feeling guilty for kind of not taking him to a game. I shouldn't really be having that conversation with myself. It should be a quite easy decision that it's a Saturday game. I take my lad to the football. That should be simple. So it's causing a lot of division. In one way, it's bringing everyone together, but I think it kind of goes in peaks and troughs. It brings people together, then something happens, and then that division starts again, and it kind of it takes time to bring everyone together again. It's really tough times. It's really, really, really sad, Nick.
Yeah, I promise I'm going to stop talking about this very, very soon. But what I want to know is, what happens with season tickets next season? I know it's a long way away, and a lot of things could have changed by that point. But will you be buying a season ticket next season?
Well, it's funny you said that, because you say it's a long, long way away. Well, I bought my season ticket on the 2nd of January last for this season. So even if it went on sale at the same time, we're in October now. That's not long away. I feel season tickets will be on sale fairly soon. If they're not on sale by the end of this month, then I will be amazed, because he needs the money, and that is a considerable amount of money that you get. For people that don't know, the season tickets go on sale for a week at the early bird price. So fans, they go on sale, and as soon as they announce the season tickets are on sale, fans get 7 days to stump up between £500 and £700, depending on where you want to sit inside Hillsborough. There's no direct debit that you can have. There's nothing like that. It is literally just £500 there straight up that you've got to pay to buy a season ticket. And there's a lot of people that aren't going to be buying season tickets. You ask me the question straight up, I won't be buying a season ticket for next season. I've already made that decision. It's the biggest purchase that I will make, the biggest amount of money that I'll give to CHANSIRI, and I'm not prepared to do that. And there's a hell of a lot of people that are going to do the same. We don't know how many season ticket holders we've got this season. My estimate would be it'd be around about 17,000, kind of, because whenever the official attendance comes out, it's around about 20,000, and that just counts all of the season ticket holders. There weren't 22,000 there on Saturday. Coventry bought quite a few fans. There wasn't that many of us. I've never seen the Cop as empty as it was at the weekend. So I feel this will be the the real test. But the problem is as well, we won't know how many people have bought a season ticket until the first game of next season. So it'll be interesting to see.
Now let's talk about the football on the pitch, because you probably want to talk about that a little bit more. So, in regards to Sheffield Wednesday's start to the season, how would you sum up what you guys have done on the pitch?
I mean, it's weird as well, because you look and we are 23rd in the league. It doesn't sound great at all. We've not, we haven't set the world alight. But I think what has been impressive from my point of view is the result that we had at the weekend against Coventry, I thought that was going to be a common theme for Sheffield Wednesday. I thought that was going to be every single week we were going to get slapped 4, 5, 6-0. I thought we were going to get some right hammerings. We had Leicester on the opening day. I thought that's when the first hammering was going to come, if I'm being perfectly honest. Again, there was talk about players not going to play in that game because they hadn't been paid. Lo and behold, they then get paid the day before that game's due to take place. And yeah, I can't fault the players that have set foot on the pitch. We've had injuries already, which has hampered us. We haven't really got a full squad, to be honest. I think we've got 12 first-team players, which is mental when you look at that. We've had to delve into the under-21s. The under-21s played all 3 of the League Cup games that we had so far this season. A great achievement to get to the third round, which is fantastic. Lost out to Grimsby, but we didn't even want to be in that competition anyway, to be honest. But it's just the way that the team have battled, and just the way that the performances have been. We could and perhaps should have got something out of that opening game against Leicester. And then, our home form has been really poor. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I think that's down to perhaps trying to do a little bit too much, being the home side, again, in front of a fairly decent crowd, irrespective of whether we try to not turn up or not. It's still a fair few people there. And I think we're just trying, like I said, do a little bit too much, and we just haven't really got the qualities to do that. And, we managed to get a win against Portsmouth, a 2-0 win down there, which was excellent. A lot of people didn't have us down to getting anything from that game. Then we draw 1-1 with QPR after leading as well, which is a little bit disappointing. Coming back from behind against Birmingham to be leading 2-1 and then conceding the 99th minute. And I know we're kind of a little bit famous for scoring late goals, but 99th minute, it was taking the mick a little bit. But we should have perhaps got more out of that one. And then 5-0 against Coventry. The Coventry are a really good side, and just it did. I think the fact that it was 3 games in a week and we only made 1 change out of those 3 games really took its toll, and that is the real problem. It's the strength in depth that we just haven't got. I mean, there has been some shining lights. Ernie Weaver at centre back, he's come in, 18-year-old lad out of the under-21s, absolutely fantastic. He just throws everything at the ball. The amount of blocks that he's made in just the last 3 games has been unreal. I think he's one of the the leaders in that metric. When you look at the stats, if you are a stats type of person, you'll see his name up there, and yeah, he's already attracted interest from some Premier League clubs, which is, again, it's a bit like a double-edged sword, really. These players that we've seen come through the ranks doing a good job, and we weren't really a selling club, but we just know that come January, these players will be moved on. We've also had George Brown, another one that's come out of the academy. People that have saw the Portsmouth goal, most people will have seen it. It's the one where the Portsmouth player goes down injured, and George Brown latches onto it, and everyone's saying that he should have kicked the ball out of play, but he smashes it in past the goalkeeper. That was his debut, and he got a goal on his debut. He's since followed that up with another goal as well. So there is some signs of positivity, but I don't really think this period of time is really the problem when you look at the squad. I think the squad's kind of running off adrenaline and things like that, and just that kind of fight and belief. Has to become Christmas when these games, come in thick and fast. We've had 3 games in a week, but we've now got the international break as we sit down and record this. So there is time to kind of recover. But when we've got games coming, like I said, Saturday, Tuesday, like it is over the festive period, and we haven't got the players to change it up. Because Henrik, he looks at the bench and it is literally kids, which it is a shame. If we are still in a game, he looks at them and he doesn't trust that they're going to actually affect the game or change it. We have a plan A, and that is literally it. We don't have a plan B at all, and that's going to be the problem later down the line. We're under 6 embargoes, by the way. Again, the 6th has been added just hours before we sit down to record this, which I think is absolutely mental. I said that we normally do an emergency podcast. If an embargo has been given to the club, emergency pod, it's now just what happens every week. We just get given another one. It's just become the norm, and that's the problem. We just get with us at the moment. But no, we've done great so far this season, and let's hope that we can pick up a few more points. But it's going to be incredibly tough. I just take great comfort from looking at that league table and seeing just one team below us at this moment in time.
We'll get onto that. Don't worry about that for a second. I just want to finish on this part, and you've covered a lot of my points already. But my slight worry, and I'm going to say this is a worry, as obviously you from your guys' point of view. Obviously, a lot of your senior players, your 12 senior players, have stayed due to that loyalty, which is admirable. It really, really is. But do you think that this is going to do a lot of damage to your academy players, having to rely on some of these players? And obviously, there's going to be gems in there that come through, and like you mentioned, may get sold on. But there could be some players that need a bedding in and slowly brought into the senior team that careers might be ruined from it.
Yeah, that is a distinct worry. When you look at it, I think Henrik is very, that he's aware of that, because he, like I just mentioned before, he looks at the bench and they've not really been coming on. And I think when we're 3-0 down at half time against Coventry, maybe that is the time where you can put them on. But as you've rightly said, maybe it's not really the atmosphere to bring them on. And if the senior players are 3-0 down in the first half, what's it going to be like bringing the kids on? Ideally, you want to bring them on kind of 10 minutes before the end in a side that's doing well and doing okay, so you can integrate them, as you mentioned. But there's going to be points where it's just kind of have to throw them in due to injuries and things. I mentioned the embargoes and the transfer fee bans that we're under, so we can't even strengthen the squad in January, even if we had the money to do so, because we just can't sign anyone. So I think it goes twofold. I think, one, it is a great opportunity, and this is one thing that really frustrates me as well, in that Dejphon Chansiri knows that he's got a pool of players here in the under-21s and the under-18s that if they're called upon, they are not going to turn down an opportunity of playing in the Championship. They will, Ernie Weaver and George Brown are putting 110% effort in every single game. Now, I'm not saying that the other players aren't. It's just that they can kind of turn a blind eye to all the adversities behind the scenes, because they are so early on in their career, and putting a good performance in right now could really, set them up for the rest of their careers in football. So it just annoys me that Dejphon Chansiri kind of knows that. So he always knows They might not be good enough, but they will always try, even though he is not paying them, which is, like I said, on one hand, it's good for the players, the youngsters, because they are going to get a chance. And historically, we do not give chances to young players. You look at the, how many players that you've had that have gone on to play in the Premier League. I can tell you now that number for us, the players that have played in the Premier League that have come out of the academy since we've left the Premier League is 0. Not one player has come out of the academy and played in the Premier League, which is just a stat that needs to be addressed, I feel.
George Hurst.
Yeah, you've got one there, but he never played. But he didn't play a league game for us. So I mean, he's not come out of the academy, played for us, and we haven't, and then gone on to do better things. I wish he had done, but again, that's another Depon CHANSIRI mistake that he made. But anyway,
one thing that I wanted to bring up is you must have so much respect for those senior players that have stayed. Obviously, Barry Bannon's the one that everybody thinks of, but there's also quite a lot more in there. There's Max Lowe, Iorfa, other players like that. How much respect do you put on their names for sticking with Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah, tremendous amount. I think all the respect has to go to Barry Bannon. I do firmly believe that others will have left if it wasn't for Barry Bannon signing a new deal. Now, it has come out that apparently the club had an option to extend his deal, but they didn't take him up on that, and then offered him a deal on reduced terms, which I think is just unreal, really, as a football club. Absolutely no respect towards him whatsoever. But there was a lot, he had offers from other football clubs. We know that, other clubs wanted Barry Bannon in the Championship this season, but he stuck to Sheffield Wednesday. It was actually his daughter who, he told his young daughter, I think he's 5 or 6 years old, that he was going to leave Sheffield Wednesday, and she started crying because Sheffield Wednesday is all that she knows, and that was the point where Barry Bannon made the decision to stay at Sheffield Wednesday. There was rumours that Max Lowe had handed his notice in as well, and people probably thinking, handed your notice in, like he's not working at Morrison's or something. But if you don't pay the players, if players haven't been paid and then they get to the next payday and then don't get paid as well, at that point the players can hand their 14-day notice in, and that's what Josh Windass and Michael Smith did. They both should be playing for Sheffield Wednesday this season. They had a contract to play for Sheffield Wednesday. They're now at Wrexham and Preston respectively. So I think because Barry Bannon stayed, the others looked, Max Lowe and others like Jan Valery as well, and Dom Iorfa probably looked at Barry Bannon there and thought, if it's good enough for him to stay, then it's good enough for me, and they have stuck around. And I dread to think what situation we would be in if we didn't have the likes of Barry Bannon, Dom Iorfa, Jan Valery, Liam Palmer, all those players that you mentioned as senior pros. Yeah, we're in trouble at the moment. We could have been in a whole world of pain if we didn't have those.
Okay, let's get on to it. The elephant in the room. You are 23rd in the league. There's only one team below you, and that is my team, Sheffield United. So, is it too bleak to enjoy Sheffield United being rubbish, or are you enjoying it?
Well, I'm not exactly dancing around the living room, the fact that you're at bottom. I would much prefer us to be top and you to be second, because that I'll be truthfully and honest in that, because that's, you're doing all right, but we're doing better than you. But it does make it a little bit easier knowing that you are beneath us, and that the Messiah, which is Chris Wilder, has returned, and he's forgot his magic wand or something, because he's not really had an impact that you probably wanted him to have. So, look, I did not expect Sheffield United to be there. If you'd have said to me we'd be 23rd, first of all, I would laugh at you thinking, oh, that's impossible, we will be bottom of the league. If you'd have said that Sheffield United would be beneath us, I wouldn't have believed it, because it just doesn't seem possible that's happened. I didn't even look at the result of the weekend. When you'd lost, I forgot that you were playing at the same time as us, to be perfectly honest, and it did make me chuckle. It's just quite laughable at the moment. And again, to be fair, taking my blue tinted glasses off, it's just really sad that Sheffield, the home of football that a lot of people forget, and two football clubs, big football clubs as well, are just so poor at the moment, like incredibly poor. We can't string. We've got 2 wins between us at the moment. I was dreading the Steel City derby. It can't come quick enough, to be honest. I mean, look, there is a meme of some robots playing football, and I feel like that's what it could be looking like. There might be nobody in the stadium and anything. It could be an absolute disaster and could be the worst one ever. But I was thinking that we could get an absolute hiding, whereas at the moment it feels like it might be a fairly even game against both sides, to be honest, which I never thought I'd be saying. But it's I do take a little bit of comfort in the fact that we can actually, take the piss out of you because we're expected to be down here. You're not expected. The fact that you're all spitting feathers, I can't wait until the Chris Wilder out chants start coming and the tweets start appearing at times, which I will take great pleasure in seeing those.
I feel like if this was on the Sheffield United way, I would be giving you lots and lots of banter back. But seeing as though I'm being neutral, all I'm going to say is that I think we expected it to be a banter season for Sheffield Wednesday. And the fact that we're doing even worse than you is just ridiculous. And
look, you're not going to be there come the end of the season. I think you'll probably finish mid-table. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think you're not going to be there at the bottom, for that long. It's just not possible. We will be though, so you might have the final laugh, but like I said, we're expected to be there. It's funny. We've picked up 6 points. I thought we'd be on 0 at this moment in time. So the fact that we have got 6, we haven't scored many goals at home. The away form is a lot better than the one at home. I think we've conceded something ridiculous at home, like I think it's 13, 14 goals, and we've scored just the 1. I mean, we have actually picked up a point at home, which is 1 point that you've picked up, but it's not great at all. But yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's hard to throw banter at each other when we're both as bad as each other. But I think I agree. I think we'll finish sort of mid-table. I think you guys will go down, but that I don't think we can give you any banter for that come the end of the season because we shouldn't have been where we are, and you guys can't help being owned by a crazy guy. So let's talk about survival. Is this realistic?
No, absolutely not. As I've mentioned that we've got 6 points at the moment. 6 points from 9 games. That's not enough to stay up. I mentioned before, this period is probably not the period that we need to worry about. It's kind of at the end of the season when we're picking up lots of injuries. Players are having to play a hell of a lot of games of football, and then we're going to have to rely on youngsters that just aren't good enough. We've already found 2 diamonds in the rough, which has kind of expanded the squad a little bit, and we're thankful of the goals that George Brown have scored because we've got a striker in Ike Ugbo, one of the senior pros who hasn't scored in well over a year now. His last goal was 2 seasons ago, kind of a couple of games before the end of the season. Didn't score at all last season, so George Brown's kind of replaced him, which is good, but we just haven't got any quality at all. So, in order to survive, we're asking for 3 clubs to be worse than what we are, which there might be one, maybe. I don't know. I can't really see it, to be honest. I can't see 3 teams being worse than what we are. I mean, stranger things have happened, but look, if people listen to this thinking we might put a cheeky tenner on it, I'd advise you not to, personally.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Yeah, it's going to be a tough old season for you, and I think a lot of people listening to this will probably feel sympathy for you. I'm sure. Maybe not Sheffield United fans if they've tuned into it, but why would you be on a video talking about Sheffield Wednesday? Anyway, yeah, let's end it there. One last thing that I want you to look down the barrel of the lens and say something to CHANSIRI that, if he's watching this right now, that will change his mind and make him sell.
Yeah, I'm not bringing my child to Hillsborough whilst you're here because it's not a great atmosphere to be around, and there's a lot of other people that are in the same boat. So if you do actually love the football club, as you tell every people that you do, you would sell the club. sell the club now.
Thank you. Appreciate that, James. I know you've probably been talking about this a lot on your channel and lots of other people's channel. Everybody seems to be invested in this story right now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But hopefully, it's brought a little bit more light to the situation, and hopefully, you get something sorted very, very soon. And me, as a Sheffield United fan, I don't want to see Wednesday go out of business. Like, who are we going to have banter with? I don't want to have banter with Leeds, Barnsley, Rotherham. So, yeah, I certainly want to see Sheffield Wednesday still be a football club. I want to see you get relegated and relegated and relegated, but I still want to see you be a football club. So James, thank you very much for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me on. I mean, yeah, I have been talking about this a hell of a lot, but, that is the situation that we find ourselves in. I had a lot of stuff over the summer, kind of, best 11s, all that kind of filler content that you need. I've still got that for next summer if I need it. I might not need it then either. So yeah, we'll see what happens.